Hi, and welcome to another narration presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button, and don't forget to smack the ass of that subscription button as well. Plus, don't forget to share the video far and wide. This will help with YouTube's algorithm and will help promote the channel more. And if you would like to support the channel and help make it grow, any and all donations can be made to paypal.me/cryptidsroost and would be gratefully received. If you enjoyed listening to the following story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. The link to this Reddit profile will be below in the description, and don't forget to check out the merch store. The links will be in the description and in the video thumbnail. If you would like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase and I'll feature it in one of the videos. And if you're going to leave a dislike, please leave a comment as to why. That way I can see what you didn't like about the video and I can possibly make changes in future videos. Thank you. And finally, have you written a creepypasta story you would like me to narrate for you? Have you had any cryptid sightings, paranormal or supernatural encounters? You can submit your stories and encounters to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. All the links are listed below. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. I work at the only pizza place in town. This fantastic mini-series is written by the Pizza Man 2222, also known as Rose Black 2222, a wonderful author over on Reddit's Nosleep subreddit. A job as a pizza delivery driver can be dangerous, but I'm sure most of you already know that. However, my job is dangerous for different reasons. What do I mean by that? Well, to start with, call me Pete, though most people in town call me the Pizza Man. Some even call me Pizza Pete. Now, as for which town I live in, I'm not going to say, for two reasons. One, the fewer people that are here, the easier my job is. And two, our town is dangerous. Not just for the unusual reasons I'm going to describe, but also for the fact we have a lot of crime in our area. You see, people in my town are fucking crazy. I've been stabbed by someone because I didn't bring them a cold bottle of soda. Yes, that actually happened to me. Now that you have at least a vague idea of the kind of area I live in, let me tell you where I work. I work at a mom and pop's pizza place. The owners named it after themselves, so I can't tell you what it's actually called. But for the purposes of this post and for any future ones, I'll refer to it as Formaggio's. That means cheese in Italian. And I'll also be referring to the owners, aka my bosses, as Mr. and Mrs. Formaggio. Their pizza shop happens to be the only pizza place in town, unless you happen to count places like grocery stores where you can get frozen pizzas. And while those pizzas are alright, they pale in comparison to the pizzas Formaggio makes. But enough of that. You probably wanted me to elaborate on what I meant by unusual reasons. I mentioned that the people in town I live in are nuts, but it's not just that. The town seems to attract crazy on top of all the other weird shit. And sure, occasionally a relatively normal person will come to our town, but those types of people clearly want to get through it as quickly as they can. Even rarer are the supposed normal people who decide they want to move here, usually because they want to live somewhere quiet. What usually ends up happening to those types of people is that they turn out to be the craziest people of all, or they go missing. As a matter of fact, the town junkyard is filled with the abandoned, mangled cars of people that went missing. Sometimes they'll find a license plate left over that the local police are able to figure out a missing person's address and get in contact with their loved ones. If they don't have a wallet or something like that got left behind that they can look up, though. I have a sneaking suspicion that some of the cops keep the money found in these wallets and purses for themselves, but they at least are somewhat competent at their jobs, so I'll give them that. While there have been cars found that have been damaged in abnormal ways, most cars here are damaged in car wrecks. I know that seems like a no-brainer, but we have a pretty high serious drunk driver problem. Anyway, I should probably expand on the whole abnormal ways thing. For one, the cars almost seem to be found far away from the road. Not just far away, but in places it seems almost impossible for them to get to without a helicopter lifting them or something like that. I even saw one police report saying that they found a car stuck in a tree. I should probably mention the trees around here are mostly oak and range from 80 to 100 feet in height, so it would be almost impossible for it to end up there on its own. That's just one incident. There was another where a car had been found that looked like something had pushed the front and the back end of it together. In that case, a body was recovered. Luckily, his wallet was still there, otherwise it would have been impossible to identify him. But people going missing isn't the strange thing that happens in our town. It's when they come back, usually after about a month or so. We tend to call these people the returned, for lack of a better word anyway. At least you might want to call them zombies. But the thing is, these people aren't technically undead. And while I know that word doesn't necessarily apply to something undead, I don't want you to think I'm talking about a flesh eater. That being said, the returned are extremely dangerous. I'm going to tell you about my encounter I had with one yesterday. It was around 6 a.m. when I woke up. Then I went outside. Mr. Formaggio has me come in between 8 and 8:30 to do prepping for the day. Since my shifts usually tend to end up being 10 to 12 hour ones, I'm usually too tired to get any exercise when I get back, so I chose to do it in the morning. Anyway, I've been walking around town for about half an hour. During this time, no shop has opened up yet. They wait till sunrise to do that. I had walked to the centre of town, where Formaggio's is located, by the way, when I noticed someone on the other side of the street. They were facing away from me and were making these jittery movements. Thinking it was just a meth head or something, I continued on my walk. It didn't take long for me to realise that this person was trying to track me. Annoyed, I considered heading back to my place. I do keep a pocket knife and a gun on me, so if this person did try something, I wouldn't have much issue fighting them off. However, I didn't want it to come to that. I'd rather not have to stab or shoot someone. As I was considering heading home, the person turned to face me. The first thing I noticed about them was their glowing yellow eyes. They stepped closer under a street light and I was able to see everything about them. The person in question turned out to be a female. Her skin was a sickly pale and her hair was blonde with multiple patches of grey running through it. We looked at each other for a few minutes before she made this rattling shriek. Her body contorted, making several loud cracks until her hands and feet were on the ground in a spider-like pose. Quickly, she started crawling across the street towards me. I didn't hesitate to pull my gun out, then shoot her point blank in the head. She fell over, and after twitching for a few moments, fell still. By this time, the sun was starting to show itself, and several people had come outside, no doubt having heard the gunshots, one of whom was the town sheriff, named Chuck. I made sure to put my gun away before he approached me, still in his pyjamas. He looked down at the woman's body, then to me, and asked, "Another one?" "Yep," I replied. He sighed and said, "God damn it. How do these people always end up like this? Beats me. Just so you know, it was one of those spider ones again. I figured from the way her limbs are bent. Do you need me to come to the station and answer any questions?" "That won't be necessary, Pete. We can take care of the body. But we will be ordering a pizza later today, so you'll be coming by later today anyway. Speaking of which, what's the speciality this week? I haven't had a chance to check it out." "I'm glad you asked. It's actually a seasoned feta cheese pizza with sausage and black olives. I might give that a try. I highly recommend that. And oh shit, it's almost 7. I gotta go home so I can get ready for work. No problem, Pete. Take care. You too, I told Chuck, and started sprinting back towards my house. I know that seemed like a pretty mundane reaction to what I just described, but as you've already figured out, this isn't the first time something like this has happened in our town. Hell, that wasn't even my first time encountering something like this. Nor am I the only person in town who has had something like this happen to them. Ask around town if people have witnessed anything strange. Chances are you'll get a story like mine, if not even weirder. Anyway, thankfully for me, I didn't run into any more trouble on the way home. However, I did notice some things were amiss. Mostly it was seeing moving shapes in the woods nearby, but I couldn't really make them out due to how far away they were. All I noticed about them was that they had glowing eyes similar to the woman I saw. The only difference was that eyes were glowing with multiple different colours, not just yellow. One particular pair of eyes gave me an uneasy feeling. Those were a pair of amber eyes that almost seemed to flicker like a flame. The reason they made me feel uneasy was that I hadn't seen any creature with those eyes, and I haven't heard about anyone who had seen it either. I decided to ignore it and head inside. An hour or so later I'd gotten ready, then headed to work. Mr. and Mrs. Formaggio greeted me when I arrived. "Hey Pete, I heard about what happened. You alright?" Mr. Formaggio asked. "I'm fine, thanks for asking though. Besides prepping, is there anything I should know about?" "Carl called in another catering order. He said he's going to want 5 of the specialty pizzas and a Caesar salad," Mrs. Formaggio said. Carl is the one who owns the gun store in town. Most people know him as Crazy Carl, and while there is something off about him, he is ironically our best and most polite customer. At least I haven't had any issues with the guy. In fact, Eve saved several people around town from the returned and other creatures. "Will do. I'll be sure to deliver the order to him later today. By the way, we'll probably get a call from Chuck wanting some of the specialty pizzas later today." "Thanks for letting us know, Pete. Can you do us a favour and make 20 more portions than usual for when he calls?" Mr. Formaggio asked. "Will do," I said, then got to work. After prepping everything and heating up the ovens, I made sure to set up the tables. We actually have a pretty nice sit-down area for the people who feel like eating inside the restaurant. Anyway, the day went pretty well at first. Then around 5, Carl and Chuck called in their orders. It took about an hour to make all their pizzas, and I was the one to deliver them. The station and Carl's store are located near each other, so it wasn't much of an issue for me to deliver them there. I usually end up using Mr. Formaggio's card to make deliveries. Crazy Carl's was the first place I stopped off at. I walked in his store carrying 5 pizzas and a bottle of Coke. "Pizza Pete! Am I glad to see you? I've been waiting all day for these bad boys," he said, taking the pizzas and soda from me. "Hope you enjoy it, Carl. I'd love to chat for a few minutes, but I got to make a delivery to the station." "Take care then, and be careful. I heard there may be a thunderstorm today." "I will. I actually had a run-in with the returns this morning." "I heard about that. I myself had a run-in with one of them flying creatures." "I heard about those. When did it happen?" "A few nights ago. The son of a bitch woke me up at like 3 in the morning by landing on my roof. It tried attacking me as soon as I stepped outside. But you know how quick I am with my shots. My shotgun got the bastard in one of its legs. I would have finished it off, but the pussy flew into the woods." "I see. I'll be sure to stay on my guard then. Later." "See ya," Carl told me. After that, I headed to the station. I was lucky enough to have Chuck approach my car. "How are things at the station?" I asked, after putting my window down and handing him the food. "Been pretty good. We'll need to make more of that special ammo though. How things been for you?" Since the returned incident, I mean. I delivered to Carl's today. He told me that one of those flying creatures attacked him a few nights ago. Can't say I'm unsurprised. You'd think he'd have moved closer to town by now, instead of living in the woods. Well, everyone knows the man enjoys his solitude. Anyway, I've got to get back to the store. Enjoy the food. Judging by this wonderful smell, I will. Take care, Pete, he told me. I waved him goodbye, then headed back to Formaggio's. I worked a couple more hours until my shift ended around 8:30. When I headed out, it was starting to rain. By the time I got home, it was pouring. The rain has still been going on since last night. Fortunately, I have the weekends off, except when I get called in. So I've just been playing games all day. I'll update you all if something else happens. Remember to stay safe and have fun. This is Pizza Pete, signing out.